Hello, I'm Carola Garrison with the Seeking Sunshine podcast, and I wanted to do a quick little tutorial to show you how I get my podcast episodes out every week in a very, very simple way. So, the very first thing that I do is I do a Zoom meeting with whoever my guest is. All right. And I record that Zoom meeting, and I usually record it to my computer, but you can also record it to the cloud and then download it and convert it later. So after it goes through the converting process, let's see if I can get my screen share to work. It will look like this. If you can see that there, this is an episode I just recorded today. And as you can see, it says today, and there's all these different options. So if you look, the one that I'm going to use is the audio, and then there's a huge number, and then it says .m4a. The other one I could use is this one that says video.mp4. I don't use videos for my podcast yet, but it's really easy to just use that video. That's what I'm going to use to post this. I've used this to record things just for myself. I can actually email that video to myself and edit it on my phone. Like there's a lot of things you can do with it. I'm just not currently doing that with my podcast. I have found that a lot of my guests are just not quite ready to be on camera yet. So maybe next year I'll upgrade to doing like a YouTube channel with that. But for now, I'm just doing audio, and it is super easy. So the one I want is this one that says audio.m4a. And so then what I will do, I'm going to have to stop sharing my screen because I did a practice run of this and it turned out that it didn't work. So here's where I'm going. So I have my podcast hosted through Anchor, which is now Spotify for podcasters. So when I'm on my dashboard for my app for Spotify for podcasters, I'm going to go to this thing that says new episode, and I'm going to click create an episode. And then I'm going to drag that .m4a over here. And I'm not even sure how much you can see because when I did my practice, nothing showed up, but whatever. And it'll say uploading, and it's going to take a little while for it to upload. And then when that's done, it'll put me on a screen that has all of the information, the title and all of the show notes and all of the things. And now, since I'm just saving this because I have a big batch of episodes and I'm not ready for this one to be aired yet, I'm just going to like put a little dot in the show notes. I'm going to put the person's name in the episode title, and I'm going to click save as draft, and then it can just sit in my thing on Anchor or on Spotify for podcasters, and it'll just sit there until I'm ready for it. So then now that I have a whole bunch of episodes ready to go, let me show you what I do. So I really love to do this thing where I create quotes for my episodes, and I use that to promote my episode each week. But I also the people who let me show you the people who were interviewed really love this because it helps them feel really inspirational. And so here's some of the pictures of the quotes that I have created. So what I do is I go through and I listen to the episode right before I'm about ready to process it and get it ready to air. And that's when I go through and I edit anything out that needs to be edited. Like sometimes there's a big blank space where somebody had to, help their kid, or they had to pee or something, or sometimes there's swearing that I just prefer to not have on my episode. And so usually I have nothing to edit. I usually have nothing because when I go to record, I don't record right away. I talk to the person for a minute first, and then I say, okay, whenever you are ready, then I will hit record. And then I hit record, and then I go, welcome to the Seeking Sunshine podcast. And then I just end the recording. And so then I don't have to go back through and splice off the front part where I was like, oh, how are you today? Okay, do you have any questions? And I used to do that, but it just cuts out a step for me. So that makes it a little bit easier. And then you can edit anything on this Anchor app, right? You can go in and you can cut off the beginning, you can cut off the end, you can splice it a whole bunch of times. It does take extra time. The more editing you do, the more time it's going to take, which is why like 90+% of the time I do zero editing. Like even if my kids are screaming, which I try to record when they're not home, or if they're like people, don't mind when it's not perfect. It helps them to, be okay with their own imperfections. Plus, when I think about it, and when I'm listening to my podcast, if I hear some noise in the background, I actually think it's from my own background. I don't automatically assume that there's something wrong with the podcast. I just think it's coming from my own circumstances, and I usually filter it out because I'm focused on the words the person is saying. So, anyways, I listen through the episode to make sure that everything is good to go. And I also write down, that's when I write down any websites, any books that they've written, any social media handles that they want me to put in the show notes. I will write all those down, and I will put them, I will show you. I put them in, I have a reminders app. Oh, hold on, wait just 1 second. Now you can actually see it. Okay, I have a reminders app on my phone. Okay, and I will write down the quotes. I wrote down who said it, was it me or them? And then I number them for my own sanity. I might go back and edit some of them later. And then I have like Jealousy Junkie podcast. This is probably backwards for you, but whatever, you get the gist of it. And I go through and I listen to the episode, and I write down some really great quotes that were said, and I write down some notes for the show notes that I'll put in later. And that's the part that takes me the longest. It might take me an hour, maybe an hour and a half. It's not a huge deal. And I can do it while I'm cleaning my kitchen. I can do it while my kids are screaming. I can do it while my kids are playing at the pool. There's a lot of options there. And then I will take those quotes and I will I usually have 7 to 10 quotes per episode, because then I can put them on all my socials throughout the week, and then I can give them to the person who is in the episode with me, and then they can share it on their socials as well. So that's what I do. And so I really love quotes, and it makes people feel really good. So I go through and I showed you this already, but I'll show you again. I take those quotes and I actually use Adobe Express. I know a lot of people really love Canva, but I really love Adobe Express. And it's really easy to make these quotes look really beautiful and to make really cute graphics with them. And you can see there's I've 7 to 10 for each of, almost 50 episodes now. So I have tons of these beautiful quotes. And then I actually, as I'm sharing them on my socials, one of the first things I do is I go onto TikTok and I put the image that I made, the photo with the quote, and I put music to it. So it makes a little 15-second video. And then I put that all over my stories, and I can put it on Reels, and I can put it on all sorts of places. So that's one thing I really love to do. And then I will go through those notes that I have here, and I will write, oh, sorry, it's not showing. These are my favorite takeaways. And so then when I record my ending, I will say, here's my favorite takeaways. And I'll write, and I'll say, number 1 is this quote. Number 2 is this quote. Number 3 is this quote. And then I also copy and paste it from the little notes app on my phone into the show notes, which I'm doing all of it on the app on my phone. Like, I don't even do this on my computer. I do it all from my phone. It doesn't take that long. It's really great. And like, if you don't want to do quotes, don't do quotes. Like, that's just what I happen to love to do. And it's kind of a little bit above and beyond what like has to be done, if that makes sense. But it's a good way to go back through my episode and make sure everything is in alignment with what I want to be on my show, and make sure that I remembered, because sometimes people don't put like, they'll mention another book they wrote that wasn't in their bio or something. And then what's also great is I use Calendly, and Calendly is amazing, and it's free if you only have one event that you're having people schedule for. And so for a really long time with my podcast, I only had one event, and I used Calendly for free, and it was great. And then one of my questions that I asked people when they signed up on my Calendly was to send me a short bio. And so what's really great is I can go back to, sorry, here's my main screen on Calendly. I hope you can see this at all. I know it's totally backwards, and I go to this button that's scheduled events, and I can go back in time several months ago, as long back as I want to, all these events that have already happened. And hopefully this random person, yep, there's her bio right there. And I just hit copy and paste, And when I'm writing my show notes, I write, join Carolee in an interview with so-and-so. And then I copy and paste their bio. And then I copy and paste each of the quotes, each of the favorite takeaways. And then I copy and paste the books or the websites that the person I interviewed wanted me to send people to. And then I make sure I put a little plug in for my website. And there's my show notes. And those are done. So the other thing that I do that is another little hack that totally learned from Kathy Heller is I use my voice memo here on my iPhone, which you could totally do this with an Android. You could totally do this. You can actually record directly to Anchor on the app. There's like so many easy ways to do this. So I hit record, right? And you could see like it's got like Shannon intro, Shannon end, Nikki intro, Nikki end. Like oh, these are all people, and that's how I record. And I literally like go hide in my basement because I'm usually doing it the night before my episode airs, and my kids are up and being crazy, and they get all upset when I go hide in the basement. And I go to the basement and I go, "Hey, welcome to the Seeking Sunshine podcast. This is Carolee Garrison. We have such a great episode." Da 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 da. And I do my whole intro on the voice memo app, and then I can just send it. Like, so I can show you. You literally just go to the three dots in the corner and you hit share. And then I scroll over to these three dots and I go down until I find what is now podcasters. And then it will literally just upload right to podcasters. And then that's exactly how I do my closing. And what's great about doing it on my phone is that when I'm doing my intro, I'm like, oh, we have such an amazing guest. And then I read her bio, which I already have on my phone because I just found it to put it in the show notes. I could even go look at the show notes for everything I'm reading off for the intro. Or I can just, or if I do the intro recording first, then I just go look it up on Calendly. Like it's really simple. And then for the ending where I'm like, oh my gosh, what a great episode. So and so was amazing. I really loved having them. Reminders of upcoming, episodes and things that have going on. And then I'm like, okay, here's the favorite takeaways. And then I go read them off of my notes section because it really brings the episode together. And I really love doing that. So I can just send those right over to Anchor. So let me see if I can share with you an episode that I have all the way done. So that you can see what is going on. Let's see. It's going to take me a half a second. So I've also used the voice memo thing for, I've used the voice memo thing to do other little snippets that I want to be in the episode. So I will show you that right now. Sorry, it takes a second. Okay, it is here. So I have new intro because I had an old intro and then I decided I wanted a new one. So this one says, welcome to the Seeking Sunshine podcast. I'm Carolee Garrison, singer, songwriter, podcast host, and self-care coach for Burnt Out Mom. Right. So that's what this one says. And then I have my Seeking Sunshine, that's my song, my intro music. So that I have that one in. And these are all just saved in the I don't even remember what it's called. They're all just saved in the thing. And I'll figure out what that's called. Whatever. They're saved in there's like a thing. I don't know why I'm losing my mind. They are saved you hit tools and you can go to the library. That's what it's called. These are all saved in my library. Everything I've ever uploaded is saved in the library section. And so I can just drag it into my episode. So I've got my new intro. I've got my Seeking Sunshine demo intro music. And then I have this piece called New Seeking Sunshine is, oh, hey, here's something about that song. It's coming out on my album, da da da. And then I have a little segment that says, hey, come be on my podcast and share your story. And then I have one that says, like and subscribe if you like my episode, leave it a review, da 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 da. And then I have my ad from Anchor, which is like, hey, before we start, here's all about Anchor, which is no longer Anchor. So I'm not even sure how my ad's relevant, but whatever. And then I have the introduction for Sarah right here. And then I have her episode, which is the bulk of my thing. Then I have her ending. And then in my ending, I always say I'll leave you with a song. So I don't repeat my intro music. I do a song that's going to be on my album because I'm a singer songwriter, but most people just repeat their intro music as their exit, or they even just end without it. So it's really simple. It doesn't take me very long to throw it all together, and I can do all of it while my 3 special needs kiddos are being wild and crazy. And I love it. And then I can go in and I can schedule it. And I always schedule my episodes. I drop them on Tuesdays, and I always schedule them for 4 a.m. because it takes time for them to be in all the places. So I figure that if I schedule them for 4 a.m., then they are ready to go on all the platforms by the time people are waking up the next morning. So I do all that the night before. It really is super fast. The part that takes the longest is just because I like to do quotes. So then I make up those little things, but it really only takes me a minute or two to make each of those little quotes. So that means I'm spending maybe a max of maybe 20, 30 minutes creating all those quotes for somebody. So I'm looking at a total of maybe 2 hours, maybe, if it takes me a really long time to edit, because I have like a 45-minute episode usually. So it takes me, maybe 2 hours to get each episode ready. And that's mostly because I am doing the quotes. So for me, this is really fast and easy. I really love doing the quotes, which is why I still do them, because I love collecting quotes and I love how it makes people feel when they have been quoted and they get to have a beautiful graphic. Plus, I also use that to promote my episode. I will tell you that I don't do video yet, and I don't go cut snippets of the audio out. One thing that's cool about Anchor, well, Spotify now, Spotify for podcasters, is you can go in and clip like a segment that you want out of your audio, and then you can just download that one segment. I don't usually do that. I'm trying to make it really simple, and this is what I've been loving, and I've been doing this for 45 plus episodes now, and it works really well for me. So I hope that helped you to have an idea of what is possible. You can make it really, really easy. And there you go. That's what I do. Bye.
Why don't you join me?